All right. Welcome back to another MGA Library podcast. My name is once again Zach Brigman, and I'm joined today by two new people. No Kearney today. I'm joined today by Autumn Lucas, Aaron Garner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They are both members. You know what? How about y'all say who y'all are members of?
Okay.
Sure. So we are both nurse practitioners for your MGA Student Health Clinic and Student Health Services. I'm a family nurse practitioner and the director of Student Health Services, primarily based on the Macon campus, also covering Warner Robins. And really, we make rounds to all of our campuses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm Erin Garner. She pretty much introduced me as well, but I'm also a nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm based on the Cochran campus, and we're located on the lower level of Georgia Hall. So I encourage anyone who needs anything to please come see me. I see a lot of Eastman students as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So y'all had an event the first and second week of February, right?
Right.
Where y'all went to different campuses and had an event about self-love or self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is that? For lack of words. What is self-love in terms of what y'all are trying to achieve through the event?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go ahead?
Sure. So thank you all for participating. I hope if anyone out there listening missed it, we do this every year actually.
Mm-hmm.
So this was our 6th annual. We target the week of Valentine's Day to harness all that heart-shaped energy and kind of flip the script for starting with yourself as self-care, self-love, body positivity, really being the foundation or the basis for a healthy relationship, whether that be friendships, family, dynamics, or a romantic relationship. But that is something that we believe strongly in, and it really ties in with your emotional, mental health, and physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can go on for a long time about definitions, but what do you think of when we do these events?
I know, when I'm speaking to students when they come by, I kind of focus on self-love being, like you said, self-care. So with that, focusing on physical health, mental health, emotional well-being, which are things that we offer here, and what I think is important for the whole person to be well. So I would say, those are the main points with that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. The second question is, how does it relate to mental health, like stressors and such?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it's definitely tied. Sorry, I was squeaky. It's definitely tied in, and sometimes we want to say that this is as small as drinking a glass of water when you wake up. Okay, so rehydrate, start your day off. It can be as big as maybe being vulnerable and really taking a minute to assess your needs and to sometimes get out of a situation or a relationship or even just a friendship that's really not benefiting you, in a positive way, because we kind of become a lot of what we surround ourselves with, and some of that's in your control and some isn't. But really trying to focus on things that you can do, whether they be big or small. And some of the things I've made sure I wanted to mention was more like compassion, kindness, and treating yourself the way that you would someone else. So a lot of times what we say in the mirror or in our head are things we would never breathe out loud, even to someone we really don't like. So doing that to ourselves, those statements and thoughts, they do add up.
Okay. What are some of the reasons why a person doesn't practice self-love or self-care?
I think it kind of goes back to, there again, the mental and physical health. I think if you already have some issues in place, some emotional or psychological issues, a lot of times, that's going to be the forefront, and you're not really going to focus on yourself so much as a whole. So, that's why I think really focusing on your health, physically, mentally, is going to push that self-love forward.
Right, and we talk a lot about health, and it's not just limited to the way you look or how many the numbers you see on a scale, things like that. It's more about where you are kind of inside on that journey, whether you need to exercise more or you exercise every day. Like, really awesome physical health and, you know, like perfect body measurements, whatever, doesn't mean that you love yourself or care for yourself. And I think a lot of reasons people don't is because we do have so many voices on a loop in our head, whether they be negative stories we've heard our whole lives or even just, you know, the influencer culture. So we hear a lot of, we'll do this instead, or I tried it this way, or, you know, things to live up to, or even quick strategies to get there. But I think if we just pause and kind of listen to our own voice, sometimes that helps. It can hurt, but it can help after that part.
Yeah, I think social media.
I was about to ask.
Yeah. Those type of things really influence a person's, you know, self-image and therefore self-love, unfortunately. So I think that probably plays a big part in it.
Yeah, it's hard to separate.
And it's hard to flip that, you know, once you see that.
You've seen them through a camera, they probably have something like a filter on or something.
Exactly.
They might not be who they look like. Yeah.
And it's not the true story. You know, we see people on Facebook or Instagram and they're going to post the best pictures or the best story about their life, and you don't see what's behind closed doors. And I think we all tend to forget that and focus.
You just see the family portrait. You don't see the kid running off.
There you go.
The woods.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like the curated corner, right? Like we can all post one little facet or angle or live that out in public, but there's a whole bunch more off camera. You know, and I've heard it a lot of times. I don't know if this is still what people call it a reel, but like the highlight reel. Yeah. That is really, that's not reality, you know? And I think, you know, we talked a little bit about, I guess I'll put it this way. My favorite one-liner is that, like, self-care isn't selfish, or self-love isn't selfish, because we often put ourselves last, whether we be parents, you know, or caregivers of our parents, you know, any number of roles that you take on, we usually will put ourselves further down the line.
Well, that rolls into the next question. Is there a stigma around self-care? Is it like, oh, you got a big ego, you probably a narcissist,
right,
and all that? So where you don't really want to go out to the gym and get healthier because somebody might say, like, oh, you're only doing that because you're full of yourself.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for sure if you have self-love, you're going to have confidence, and that can be, you know, misconstrued as having a big ego. But, you know, I think that's okay, because there again, we're worrying about what other people think with that, you know, and as long as you love yourself, it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. So, but I mean, speaking on what she said, I know I have a hard time putting myself first, being a mom. So, you know, it's easy to say this and to tell people, you know, put yourself first, focus on self-love, but then practicing it is a whole other story.
That's for sure. Like, we're human too. Like, I would never tell one of my patients or like give a presentation on well-being and say, like, you know, eat at your desk. Don't just skip lunch if you're busy. But I mean, I do that several times, and I know that I feel better if I really do take a minute to eat or take a walk at lunch. And I think sometimes when y'all are talking, like we're talking about the, you know, the stigma or other people reacting in less than supportive ways, I think it can be scary to people when you have confidence, particularly as females. But also if you start to raise the bar and the standards, and there's a partner or person in your life that isn't meeting that, or
they'll start feeling inadequate and taking it out on you.
They're not necessarily going to lift you up, but they might try to pull you back down to sort of stay,
so they can feel comfortable.
In that place or in that power position. And I mean, that's why I say it can be really vulnerable. And I mean, we're not like mental health professionals. You know, we do have licensed counselors on campus. If you really want to dig deep into some of the stigmas, the internal dialogue, or even, you know, relationships where you might need some help, there's lots of resources for that. But I think that sometimes that discomfort level, it's good because it will lead to, you know, the other side. So some
little
people,
motivation.
There you go. Some people kind of give up at that point, and I would encourage you just to try to keep pushing through because you are worth it.
I was going to start on to the next question, but I just thought of a new one. Is self-love different nowadays than it was probably like in the 90s or in the 80s? Is it pretty much the baseline is still there?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess in some ways now it's more of a hot topic. Like we can talk about it, and it's a double-edged sword there with that influencer and kind of culture, because we often will see things that are branded as self-love, self-care, but they're really trying to sell you a product, like a new face product, a roller, or
Here's some diet pills. That'll-
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That'll burn fat without doing any exercise.
Correct.
Yeah. Or join, this subscription service or this particular gym. So I think probably the basics of self-love have not changed because
That's what I
our
was gonna say.
human needs are still there.
Yeah.
But the ability to talk about it openly and what it might look like. I mean, there was probably a day where it was all spandex and, Reeboks and step classes. That was self-love if you went to the gym. But
Was that
finding a
80s movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta?
Yes.
The one.
I'm thinking like Jane Fonda, like way back.
Oh, yeah.
Olivia Newton-John.
Yes.
Yes. That whole era.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that it does morph a little bit as we go through. Because right now we talk more openly about mental health and mental health struggles, but that doesn't mean that the actual care and the access and the follow-up is improved. We can have that conversation, but we need to keep pushing it to where we can actually get the help and get the support long term.
Okay. I just had another one that just popped in my head. Is self-love and self-care not practiced because there's not as much validation in it as saying like, oh, I'm having a bad day? And like you want to get validation from like saying like, oh, why are you having a bad day? You're such a good person. Instead of like, oh, I'm having a great day. It's like, okay. Is there like a sense in that as well?
Well, I think so. I mean, whenever someone asks you how you're doing, you don't always think they really mean it. You're just going to say, fine. You're not going to share.
Usual response. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
That's also the Southern way of doing it.
Yeah, that's very Southern. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is it depends, because we're telling you to be vulnerable, be open, try. But then sometimes if you do that and you don't get something in return, if it shuts you down, it's hard to continue that. And I think sometimes we do talk about how, you just have to make it through today, or we all have hard times, everybody's got something, but none of us really knows what's going on behind the scenes. And it's easy to hide and make it seem like it's okay when it's really not. So some people are just trying to meet their basic needs, right? Like shelter, food. I mean, that's a very real, like we're way ahead, talking about self-love and self-care. It's hard to do that when you don't feel like you have the means at that time. But like we said, it can be something small, can be something big, but these little things add up, and it does take practice. It's kind of like flexing a muscle. In
the same token, kind of what she mentioned before too, I think it's in some ways easier to state what your actual feelings are now, because I remember when I was in high school, so in the 2000s, late 90s, mental health was not talked about. That was not a thing, at all. And now it's much more in the forefront, thankfully. I think it's been needing to be for a while. We have mental health days sometimes. So in that way, I think it may be a little easier for people to be true to what they're actually feeling. If given the opportunity. Obviously if somebody's passing you in the hallway and going at the same time, how are you doing? Like, fine,
Yeah.
But given that opportunity, I think nowadays it's maybe a little easier to actually open up.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion on that.
My ADD's kicking in. So you talked about mental health days. Is that a new form of self-love, of taking time off to center yourself?
I would say so. Most certainly. I think we all need them.
And I don't remember hearing about them pre-COVID.
Right. I think COVID brought that out. Surprisingly, I mean, nobody wanted to go through that to get a mental health day, but that was, I think, a positive.
Mental health
Yeah,
days.
yeah. I think it was a positive as a
True.
result of that. You know, because COVID forced us to stay home and really focus on ourselves. You know, gave us that time that we didn't have before, and pushed you into your family, whether you wanted to be or not. You know, and really made us check our mental health, you know, and then the results of that, what has come from COVID, you know, people are scarred from it, and they need, you know, to talk to somebody about it. So, yeah, that's one of the few things I would say was good from that.
Okay. All right, now we're going to get back on track.
You're
didn't go.
You're good.
That's fun.
Tangents are part of my life. Is self-love a vital skill for while attending college? Because college is very stressful because you don't know whether or
Absolutely.
not the assignment you turned in last night's going to get an A or B, or you're just going to flunk out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd always say, like, there's so many deadlines because as a student, you've got more than one class. You have a personal life still going on, you know, in and outside of that. And then a lot of our students are working full-time or
Parents.
going back to school parents, caring for parents, or, you know, any number of things. But I think trying to just remember purpose over perfection and still being worthy of love. Even if you fail every class you take, you know, it doesn't mean that you are all a failure. You know, you've got to just use that as a learning experience and try to find ways to improve
Yeah.
and move forward from that. So I think college is a time where people do get to know themselves a little bit more because we've if you live on campus particularly, there's new dynamics with roommates. You are more independent. You're now going to manage your own schedule, and even just remembering to go and get dinner at night. Like, nobody just you know reminds you, like, this is all up to you to manage your day and to, you know, to eat and to try to sleep. And we talk about that because it's hard not to stay up all night and work, especially before an exam or a project. But when you don't sleep, your immune system suffers. You know, it's a domino effect.
Yeah,
And you don't
exactly.
retain as much information. So you stay up later and later trying to cram. And I think, you know, college is difficult. I'm not saying anything is easy, but it's really important to try and find some systems that work early on. You know, not after midterm and then not right at finals week. It's really hard to pick up a new system then.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. So, I mean, self-love, it just encompasses so much. And I think with that, back to the confidence thing or the initiative, like to ask for help when you need it. And I don't just mean like mental health help. I mean, I mean like from your advisor, from your professors. I found, and you know, and I'm in the health clinic, so this isn't even probably half of as often as it occurs, but you know, students will talk about, you know, I'm failing, and it's mainly because they didn't go to the professor early on and address something, or you know, they haven't spoken to their advisor. You know, I'll mention different things. Well, no, I haven't done that. You know, and I mean, and being totally transparent, when I was a freshman in college, I was scared to death, just being honest. And I failed a class because I just didn't address what I was supposed to. I didn't want to go to the professor. I didn't think I mattered to go to the, you know, I was just one little dot on their schedule. You know, so I think just knowing that you matter, that class matters to your college education, having that confidence and that initiative to go forward and you know, get that discussion started will just benefit you so much in the end.
So self-love can also be recognizing that you need help as well.
Sure.
Yeah, and using those resources. I mean, I do think that's important. Like, not to say, well, that's just one more thing I have to do, or I don't want to be the person that goes and needs tutoring. But these are tools that are available to you, and I think it's part of success. They even have the Student Success Center. Like, it's built into the title, and then here in the library, there is no shortage of people to help you navigate all the options that are here, because it is overwhelming. And you might know what you need, and you might not know what you need. You just have to put enough words and show up at the right place and try and get help from the people that are here. Because I think we both work in student affairs, and there's so many departments within ours, like student care, the assessment care team. We all want success, and that helps your self-love and your self-care for sure.
Right.
But these are tools that you can use for that, right? Like, we talk a lot about resources, but think of them as tools. It's just something else to help you get to where you want to go and be who you want to be.
Right. Right.
Okay, so what are some tips and tricks to build that skill up of self-love and self-care? What's some tricks?
I say some easy places to start is like a Post-it note on your mirror. Like
I was just about to say affirmations.
Affirmations, right? And they don't have to be super like touchy-feely, ooey-gooey. Like, it can be what feels right to you and what feels comfortable to you, because we don't want to alienate anybody in this discussion. We're not just talking about, this is not just for females, or this is not just for traditional students. This is for everybody in all stages of life. But I think, like we said before, what you say to yourself matters, and just practicing small ways each day, something for yourself that truly helps or goes toward a goal that you have, and prioritizing that.
And even and we have a self-love bingo game that we like to give out when we have events, but just doing little things for yourself. I mean, whether that's as a female, I like to go get a pedicure. I do that for myself. That's something I enjoy. I mean, so doing something that you enjoy. I mean, sitting down and watching a movie. Anything like that that's just for you. It doesn't really matter if you've accomplished anything doing it, but well, you do accomplish because you're fulfilling something for yourself. But just something you enjoy doing. That's a step towards self-love, I believe.
For sure. And there's a lot of ways to do that for free. Like, we have a beautiful campus. You walk back and forth, getting back and forth to work or to the cafeteria or to classes, but just noticing what's around you, actually taking a moment and looking and feeling the steps, and veer off the path a little bit. Like, look at the lake. It could be something free. It could be something like that. To just take a moment and take a deep breath or two, that really does go a long way.
Be nice without the hills.
Yeah.
I know, right? So,
like, there's a hill up in the main entrance.
Yeah.
right.
Been walking up that for 5 years. It's still, no matter how many times I do cardio, it
Still gets you. Yep.
And there used to be a really big weird fountain there, and I bet people don't even notice that it's gone. It's like, we sometimes just, and that's a look-up challenge.
It never works.
That was a good idea. But I think something else about the affirmation thing is, find a way, whatever you look at, like, put a picture that makes you happy, a goal, a statement, whatever it is on the lock screen of your phone. You're going to look at that 25, 50 times a day. So,
exactly.
And you're never going to find the one tip that solves every problem. It's a continuous journey to, so to speak.
And I think it's different for everybody, too.
Yeah, and finding out what does not work for you is still progress, right? Like, don't feel, discouraged.
Yep.
You learn something about yourself.
Okay. Where can students find tips and tricks and resources? Like, do we have a specific website on webpage or website for the university that's dedicated to?
I think searching within the MGA pages, there's the student care, counseling services, student health services, some of those keys like the student success, tutoring, library, getting to know what's available.
Student life,
yeah, exactly.
They do
all the
fun stuff
activities.
all the time. I mean,
yeah, it's good to
when
make
there's
community.
events, around the clock, literally.
True, and
On
student
all campuses.
organizations.
Yeah.
A lot of ways to find community, and it is important to have a support system. That doesn't mean that you have to tell them every single thing about yourself, but supporting, them the way that you would want them to support you.
Yeah.
But I think also searching certain things, like you can't believe everything you see on Google or any social media, but body positivity is one thing that you can search and, hopefully find something that speaks to you, because there's so many types of bodies, and, your body clicked a button and you are watching this on a screen or listening to this, that's thankful. Like, be thankful that you've got that you have this function, right? So, and that you're in college, you have this opportunity at MGA to take advantage of all these resources while you are here, and hopefully to continue building those internal skills that you will take with you wherever you go next.
Okay. Do most universities have these types of services, like the student health services?
I think so.
As far as I know, well, speaking for student health services, aren't universities required to have a student health service?
I think so, at least for certain sizes. Like within the university system of Georgia, we are part of a group of health professionals that meet regularly and go over common, college health needs. We learn a lot from each other about programs that we want to grow or programs that we want to bring to campus. So we communicate within the system and meet regularly, and appreciate having that access to other professionals. And I mean, every school is going to vary in size and scope, but if it's not there, then they should at least be able to help you find something in the community, which we also feel strongly about.
Because
search in the
at the
communities.
Warner Robins event on the campus, you also had a women's health group that was there as well. It was Hardly
Yes,
started
so
with an H.
they
Howard Center?
Yeah, the Howard Center was there,
Okay.
right? So we do health fairs throughout the academic year, and we invite community partners. We really work closely with the Department of Public Health, with the Women's Health Center.
Yep.
Some of the others we bring in.
Wings.
Yeah,
Out
right.
of Dublin.
Right. And we always say, like, if we can't manage what the need is, or even if you're an online student and you don't live in the Macon area or Cochrane, we can help you navigate what's available where you are. And a lot of times, we do encourage you. We are here for illness and injury, on the minor scale, but we're not going to be your primary care provider, but we can help you find one. And then we have the telehealth services, and telepsychology that are through Be Well, the support program. That's really a great option. It's 24/7. So if you're struggling in the middle of the night, it doesn't have to be a crisis. You might just say, I need to unload this off my mind, and then I can maybe sleep for 2 hours, then call them.
Is this like these services, are they new, like within the last 10 years, or have they been in part of the universities for a long time?
So the health clinic here has it been 8 years? Okay.
It's gone through different changes, but I think as far as consistently being present and growing the services, yes, we are within 10. I'm sure counseling has been here longer than that.
Yeah.
But I think that as the health needs grow, and again, that's a benefit of it becoming more prevalent and more discussed, is that we realize we need these on college campuses. And so there may be some schools that are more recent, but it hopefully will continue to grow.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Would you like to talk about one of the resources that you brought with you? So for the next couple of minutes?
Oh, sure. So we have several of these things which we'll make available, or you can email us and we'll give you copies, or come talk to us about it.
Because you have affirmations as well. You have 10 steps to positive body image.
Yeah, and this is a fun thing. It's a self-care checklist, and it's something that you could easily do one time, or you could laminate it or stick it in a page protector and look at it daily or weekly. And it's like we all do, or we probably all make to-do lists. I make them all the time. It's like a to-do list for yourself. How am I feeling? Today I need, my goal for tomorrow, or one thing that you're grateful for. And I think finding like the silver lining, or that little golden nugget each day. Some days you have to dig a lot deeper, and some days it's easier to find. But there's hopefully something that you can verbalize or write down and train your brain to look for that.
So the self-care list, we can actually laminate it for you in the library, in the makerspace.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
library MGA students have access to that. It's for free as well.
Good.
And I would say that creativity, coming into the makerspace and just doing something to take your mind off everything else, or even maybe you want to do like a little vision board of, you know, something like a goal, a collage. I mean, it could be any number of things, but so I think that's a good point, that our resources are not all just academic related. It's not just research, but you can come in here and do something fun too.
The 1 minute stress strategies I was looking over, and that's very good, because I think a lot of people have problems like, oh, it's a lot of time, I don't have enough time. But saying 1 minute makes it a lot less daunting to do.
Sure.
Like focused breathing, deep breathing, tension release,
Right.
and ideal relaxation.
Yeah.
Right.
So it
And
doesn't
just-
take a lot of time, you know, even just a minute out of your day, and it could change your day just by doing that. So,
Right.
for sure.
And sometimes we've clenched our teeth absolutely all day long. And if you just take a second and you're like, oh, you know, I feel that. I didn't notice that I was doing that, but let me just release my jaw. That's the kind of things we're talking about. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, just being aware. Self-awareness goes a long way.
Well, and one thing affects the other. Your mental health is eventually going to affect your physical health, and, you know, vice versa. If you have some physical ailments, that'll more than likely affect your mental health. So, you know, taking that time to just stop and, you know, do something nice for yourself or something that you enjoy, or just breathing deeply, you know, will in the long run be a positive thing for you.
And trying to be supportive of others. We talked, I mean, the topic here is self-care, self-love, but just like we said, when you're being vulnerable and looking for support and you don't get it, that is really difficult and damaging. So make sure that you are that friend or spouse or, you know, family member or partner, even just hold a door open for somebody, you know, or help them pick something up if they drop it. Little things go a long way.
I mean, that
And
can be
just-
rewarding to
Right,
yourself
it is,
too.
it
I mean,
is.
you know, to make you feel good about yourself, to do things, you know.
And we live in a climate where it's harder sometimes to find commonality, but I think that just the human needs, right? Like just a little kindness and compassion to others and to yourself, you really can't separate the two.
Yes.
So I think trying to look at that as a
These
lifestyle.
Yeah.
these resources will be available for download on the resource page in the LibGuide. But so y'all have an email that they can email. Is it a what's the word I'm looking at? Is it a group email where everybody can see it and y'all just jump on who's ever available?
Yeah. So it goes to the health clinic. It's health clinic, one word, at mga.edu. And what we do is we kind of channel it to whoever it's aimed towards. So if it's a, you know, Macon campus student, we'll make sure Autumn gets it. It's whoever sees it first, you know, or if it's something, you know, whoever reads it can address, of course, we'll go ahead and do that. So that's kind of how that gets taken care of. Yeah.
I'll be sure to include that into the description.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it's a great way to get in touch with us. You know, you don't share any sensitive personal information, but we can then reach back out to you or share these resources. Come to our events. Pay attention to what's going on around campus, because if you look, there's events every single day. Student life is rocking out.
Yeah, they are. We welcome anyone to stop by our clinics at any time also. And our phone number, I'll give that if that's okay. It's 478-934-3080, and it gives you the option to press 1 for Cochrane, press 2 for Macon. So we can be reached that way as well.
Yeah.
Are those the only two campuses that have?
The health clinics, yes. So so Autumn's here in Macon, I'm in Cochrane, and then we kind of cover the other campuses that are nearby. So I see a lot of Eastman students. She'll see, you know, Warner Robins, and
we were just in Dublin last week.
yeah,
And
then with our events, we try to cover all of them, like physically. But yeah,
available to all.
yep.
So,
Whoever, as long as you're a full-time student, you're welcome to
Currently
come see
enrolled,
us.
yep.
Currently enrolled, you've paid your student health fee. It's free to come see us. Small fees for some testing, things like that. We'll let you know up front. But other than that, it's a free visit. So utilize it.
yeah.
Okay.
We are here to help.
All right. Do y'all have any events planned on later in the year that y'all plan on doing? or is spring
We
like
kinda-
y'all's big?
Yeah, we kind of do a spring event and a fall event. So
Okay.
spring is our Love Yourself event. Fall we do health fairs. So and we try to target that September, October around flu vaccine time, so that we can offer those to students. But every now and then we'll do some events, sprinkled in between those. We like to do HIV testing. We partner with DPH for that, Department of Public Health. And other little things pop up that we'll do.
Right. So we are going to be participating in the International Student
Oh yeah,
event coming up. We do have social media, and sometimes we'll have like online campaigns where we share
yeah,
sun safety tips in the summer.
exactly.
Things that are monthly or seasonal health needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere around the time of spring break, we're probably going to host where we do opioid overdose training and Narcan training on the Macon campus again, just as a kind of a refresher.
Okay.
But we've always got something going on.
Yeah. So we have Instagram and Facebook accounts. So we encourage anyone who's interested to please follow us.
Okay. All right. All right. So we have an optional question
Okay.
that y'all can ask me, and it can be about anything. It could be personal. It could be something professional. It could be academic, or y'all can ask for a wild card, where I just use my ADHD and just come up with a random topic.
Fine. What do you think?
Well, I think I'll ask you, based on our topic today, do you think you practice self-love? Or
No.
Didn't even think about
So,
it.
No.
so need to work on that a little bit, maybe.
No, it's just weird to me. I understand uplifting other people, but when people try to uplift me, it's like, ugh, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's
But
true.
I do I do the relaxation bits of self-care. I just don't do the affirmation bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what scares a lot of people off it. Like, again, that's why we try to say it's not enough to be super touchy-feely.
Yeah.
And we all know that a lot of times when people try to uplift us, it's not genuine, right? Like,
Yeah.
we can tell the difference. So that's not what we're going
Yeah,
for.
exactly.
But I think I'm glad you're honest about that. And maybe this
Yeah.
will be something that you'll think about a little in the future. But it does look different for everybody, for sure.
Is that the only question, or did you
I
want to ask
don't
one?
know. Has anybody asked you about what came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken or the egg?
I feel like we need to know.
I think the shell forms around the chicken first.
It's kind of the way I was leaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was looking at the how a baby is formed through the trimesters, and there's a sac around it in the beginning. So maybe the shell is the sac that doesn't go away. Although I
Right.
think there is a sac in it anyway, so it's like
It
a
is,
double.
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, there's no one way, no one answer.
That's a good thought process, though. I see where you're going with that.
To be continued. You want to tune into the next episode.
Does Zach actually know what he's talking about? No? All right. Well, it's been an exciting 39 minutes. It's not the shortest, but it's not the longest. Which
Sounds
is
good.
okay. Hopefully, I will see y'all back in what was the fall
So we do health fairs.
health fair. So
Yeah.
I'll probably see y'all do another episode for
Sure.
that one too.
That'd be great.
Talk about
Please
why
do.
you need to have your flu shot.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We
Yeah, we
love
can
it.
talk longer than 39 minutes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Once again, I am Zach Brigman, and this has been the MGA Library Podcast. Please join us on the LibGuide or the YouTube page, and please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a good day.